All right, friends, this is a really special night that we got going on tonight. Seniors, this is dope to get to celebrate y'all this evening. This is not goodbye yet. There is much more summer to come. But I did want to ask you all a question, really to all of you non-seniors, but also to you seniors. You could look forward to maybe the next chapter of your life. And I just wonder, as we get started, what would you want to be said about you on this stage? Now, when we do the Ultimate Awards, we're just kind of doing silly fun awards. We're not, maybe speaking the truest, deepest things about you in your life because we don't all want to just be crying tonight. We do want this to be fun and festive. Really, what would you want to be said about you? Those of you in middle school, in high school, you 11th graders, you'll be up here next year. What would you want to be said about you? What do you want to be known for? And there's a good way that you can know what that is. Like if you've got something comes to your mind, I want to be known for this. Well, it's really about the way you're living now. I mean, the best indicator to what you'll be remembered for, what you'll be known for, is what you're doing now. Wait, sorry, skipped ahead. Okay, what you will be known for later is determined by how you're living now. Layton doesn't become the Little Miss Sunshine Award overnight. That is years of smiling and greeting everyone with happiness and kindness and cheer. Riley doesn't become the nonchalant workhorse overnight. That is years of being nonchalant that it takes to get to that work. At sixth graders, if you want that award, Bennett, there's time. You could do it. You could be the nonchalant. There's time. You can work on this. You've got years to cultivate this. What you'll be known for later is determined by how you're living now. And really, we want to dial this in a little bit tonight to this idea of digital discipleship. There's a lot we could talk about for what you're known for and your legacy and all of these great things and how you're living now. But we're in this series on digital discipleship, and specifically tonight, I want to talk to you about influence, the idea of influence. Digital discipleship, influence. And I want to say that tonight is that who is influencing you now will shape who you become later. The people who you are allowing to influence you today, who you are giving a voice in your life, they're going to help shape who you become later, who you're known for later. So it's really, really important who we're allowing to influence us in life and how we're allowing those things to influence us. Later, in just a little bit tonight, you're going to get a chance to hear from our seniors, and they're going to get to come on up and they're going to get to share a little bit about this, about some influences in their life, good and bad, and maybe share some wisdom into your life tonight. Share some testimony that you get to hear tonight. In just a bit, we'll do that. But really, I want to dial it in to online influencers. There's a lot of people who can influence you, but I really want to dive into online influencers, social media influencers, celebrities. These are these people that we follow. We follow their platforms online. Yeah. There's a bunch of them up there. Maybe you can name them all. Actually, wait, one second, everybody. I forgot my Bible. I had to do the Bible walk of shame. We're going to talk a lot about Mr. Beast. You hang tight. The odds are you probably follow one of these folks, or you know their content, or maybe one of these people has had an influence on your life. Maybe there's someone else that you follow. And we're going to be talking about influencers, but I don't want you to think, I don't want you to think just social media influencers. I really mean anyone that you don't know personally, that you follow online, who has an influence on you. It could be a group, it could be a band, it could be a celebrity, or it could be a more traditional social media influencer, podcaster, whatever. People who you don't know, but online, you follow their content regularly, and they have an influence on your life. And the reality is that all of these people want to sell you something. And some of them actually do want to sell you a Feastables bar or a Rhode beauty product, but like they all want to sell you something. And something is a lifestyle. It's what they're known for. It's their version of the good life. Like each of these people, they have a version of the good life. That's what they're portraying. They're portraying to you, this is what your best life looks like. And they're trying to sell that to you. One of those guys is this man. Good old Jimmy, Mr. Beast, if you don't know him. That'd be crazy if you don't. But Mr. Beast is a guilty pleasure of mine. I'm a little bit ashamed of how much I enjoy this man's content. I feel like I'm too old for his content, but I don't know, there's like 500 million other people who follow him, so I mean, I don't know. I'm in good company. But I love this man's content. He puts out some banger videos. I've not seen his most recent one. If anyone's seen that, I gotta watch that later tonight. But in watching Mr. Beast's stuff, it starts to become clear, like, we don't always think of the influence that this stuff has on us. Like, you're probably not watching Mr. Beast and thinking, how is he influencing me today? You're just thinking, this is fun, it's cool challenges, it's whatever. Whatever you're drawn to, buy it. But when you really think about what is Mr. Beast telling you is true about life, this picture really encaptures it quite well. It's money. Like so many of his challenges, right? They all revolve around earning a lot of money. It's how far will people go to get money? So I would argue Mr. Beast's videos, just subtly, sometimes not so subtly, but they kind of tell us a message that the good life is found by winning $5 million. The good life is found by having a lot of money. That's how we achieve the good life. I think that's what Mr. Beast, his videos are telling us. I don't know if that's what he believes. I don't know anything about his life, but I think his videos are telling us that message. That's the influence that we get from it. Or another one, this is Speed and Kai Cenat. Is that right? I think that's who these guys are. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know this stuff super well. But what are gamers telling us? Like some of y'all watch these guys, maybe on Twitch, maybe YouTube, watch playthrough videos, and they're telling you a version of what the good life is. Like when we watch them and we're influenced by them, they're telling us that I think maybe some of the message in the gaming world is like the good life is found by stepping away from reality, by just enjoying a good game, a game where you can be free to do whatever you want. There's no rules. You can just totally be yourself. You can escape from reality and just be yourself in this world of this game. And little by little, those things influence us. And we start to think that our best life is found by more and more gaming. There's nothing wrong with gaming. Gaming's great. A lot of great things happen in there. But these messages have an influence. Or Hailey Bieber. Hailey Bieber, maybe some of you follow her on Instagram, and she'll put forward messages about beauty. Her beauty company, Rhode, I believe, is huge. It's this huge thing in the world. This is Justin Bieber's wife. She's a social media influencer, largely in the beauty, fashion space. And I would argue Hailey Bieber's version of the good life that she puts forward is about beauty. Your best life is found when you are the most beautiful, and you can buy some of my products to get there. And like, it's a message about beauty. Is there anything wrong with being beautiful? No, 100% not. Like, if you like her products, that's dope. Awesome, enjoy that. But she puts forward a message that that's where the good life is found. One more, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, maybe you've seen clips of him pop up. Most popular podcast in all the world, biggest podcast in the world. And Joe Rogan really puts out this message that the good life is found by freedom, through expression, say whatever you want, have these free conversations, and frankly, doing a lot of drugs on those too. And Joe Rogan has this version of the good life that he tells people this is what the good life looks like. And when you follow these influencers, we kind of pick up these messages of like, this is what the good life is. Now the problem with all of this is that if you're a follower of Jesus, that's not Jesus' version of the good life. Some of those things, some of them are good, some not so good, but some of those things are good and fine, but that's not the good life that Jesus calls us to. Jesus says the good life is found in knowing him. The good life is found when we have a relationship with him. The good life is found when we follow him, when we die to ourselves, when we take up our cross and follow him, take on his easy and gentle yoke in our lives. So what do we do? What do we do? Like, am I telling you that the message for you is you need to stop listening to all influencers? Stop following any influencers. Don't listen to any influencer online. Is that the message? Do we need to stop? Should we stop following all influencers? And the definitive answer here to this is a very strong maybe. Because I don't know. This is a wisdom issue. Like, I would actually say it's probably no. The answer to stop following all is probably a no, but it's maybe when it comes to each thing. And what I want to give you tonight, what I want to offer you tonight is a few questions that maybe can act as some wisdom principles in your life that you can chew on, that you can wrestle with to think about, is this a wise thing for me to be engaging with? Do I need to distance myself, relate to this in a different way? How am I letting this thing influence me? So here's a few questions, a few considerations. Number one, can you engage with this content to the glory of God? That's huge. Like, if the answer is no, that's a red flag, and that's something you don't need to engage with. Now, let me be clear. What is engaging with something to the glory of God? Watching a YouTube video to the glory of God. Can you watch Mr. Beast to the glory of God? I'd say yes. God made a big, beautiful world with all kinds of interesting things and interesting challenges and people who have different creative interests. But if it's something that is directly sinful, if it's influencing you to do something sinful, like we would say maybe some big categories of like, if it's pornographic, if there's something of that nature, no, there's no way you can engage with that to the glory of God. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, I'm not going to have these scriptures on the screen, so if you want to turn along and follow along with these. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31, the Apostle Paul says it this way. So whatever you do, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. Is that we as followers of Jesus should live our lives all to the glory of God, whatever you do. And the interesting thing is, Paul doesn't just list a bunch of church things. He doesn't say when you go to church or when you're reading your Bible, do those things to the glory of God. He says when you eat and drink, whatever you do. So when you watch YouTube, when you scroll through Instagram, when you watch TikTok, we're doing it all to the glory of God. We're living a life that glorifies God. So that first question I think we should ask ourselves with what we engage with online is, can you engage with this content to the glory of God? Second question. Does it make sin more attractive to you? Let that sink in for a second. Does it make sin more attractive to you? And I can't just answer that for everyone because we're all different. We all have different weaknesses in our life. We all have different areas that we are tempted, different areas where we tend to fall short. So the answer for that question is going to be different for everyone. Maybe some of you really, really struggle with greed. So for you, watching a Mr. Beast video might make sin attractive to you. I don't think it does for me. I venture to guess it probably doesn't for most of us in the room. But does it make sin more attractive to you? Does it lure you to the edge of wanting to do something that is sinful? And if it does, I would just say stay away. Like that's not a good thing for you to be watching. That's not a good video, not a good person for you to be following if it's making sin seem more attractive to you. Run away. James says this in James chapter 1. James chapter 1, we're going to go to verse 14. James, the brother of Jesus, he writes this in a letter. He says, "Temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. These desires give birth to sinful actions, and when sin is allowed to grow, it gives birth to death." So if you're watching something that tends to stir up your own sinful desires, we're all broken humans, we have sinful desires in us, and if something that you're watching, someone that you're following, tends to stir up those desires and make you long to do something sinful, stay away. It's the last question I'm going to give you. And then we're going to hear from our seniors in just a minute. The last question. What does watching this content provoke in you? What does watching this content provoke in you? Here's what I mean by that. When you watch that video, when you follow that celebrity, when you engage with their content, watch their TikToks, what does it provoke in you? Do you step away from it feeling bad? Feeling shameful? Feeling like, I know I shouldn't have watched that? When you engage with that content, do you walk away feeling fearful? When you engage with that person's content, do you walk away lustful? Do you walk away greed, with desiring more and more and more, discontent with what you have? Or when you engage with their content, do you find yourself feeling more joyful? Do you find yourself loving life more? Do you find yourself wanting to know Jesus more? When you engage with their content, do you find yourself delighting in the goodness of God's world, even if it's not spiritual, but you just watch it and you think, man, Minecraft's awesome. This is so great. God created this world where we can be creative and we have this awesome game. And man, when I watch Speed play Minecraft, it just makes me delight in the world. I love it. It's awesome. And if that's you, that's so great. What does it provoke in you? What feelings does it bring up? That's something to listen to. Now, the reality is, I think these three questions, this doesn't give you a black and white rule. There's no clean answer. I can't tell you exactly what you should or shouldn't be watching, who you should or shouldn't be following. This is a wisdom issue. But we often aren't great judges of ourselves. We often aren't always great at discerning. Sometimes I can really deceive myself if I really enjoy a certain thing, even if it's not good for me. So what I want to just close on is to challenge you to practice discernment in quiet and community. What I mean by that is you need to take intentional time to slow down and get with God, get with the Holy Spirit, and just pray and just ask him, God, is this good for me to engage with? Is this good for me? If you don't feel comfortable praying to God about these things, then that might be a little flag there. But just be with God. Be in the quiet. Sit and think about it. Think about how it's influencing you. And engage with community. Go to one of your fellow Christian brothers and sisters and say to them, hey, what do you think? Do you think this is having a good influence on my life? You know me well. You know the way I talk. You know my shortcomings. You know where I tend to fail most commonly. Do you think this is a good influence in my life? And I hope you've got a brother or sister or a small group leader or someone in your life that you can have those honest conversations with. Ask those questions too. So those are a few principles I had for influence, for engaging with what do we engage with in the digital space? What influencers do we listen to? I do want to note that in just a couple weeks, I'll be back up here, not next week, we got Ultimate Youth Night, but then after that, we're going to talk more about art. And what does this look like in the world of art, in music, movies, TV shows? Things are a little bit different. It's a little bit different than engaging with influencers. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks. But before we dive into that, we're going to continue with this content on social media, influencers, what that looks like, and then we're going to hear from some of our seniors. So seniors, I've invited some of y'all to come on up, come grab a seat. Seniors, thank y'all for doing this. It's totally different line of questioning than you've been thinking about today, probably. But thank you for engaging in this, because I think y'all could offer some great wisdom to the rest of us of what this has looked like in your life, because we see you guys as people who are growing in your faith, who are becoming more like Jesus, who are a lot of the people, there's a lot of folks in this room who look up to you as people that they want to become like. And we want to know, what have you done? Like, what are some of the things that you've done? So we'll just start with just a light one, quick one. We'll just go down the line. Who's your favorite influencer? Who do you listen to? Who do you follow? Who's someone that you follow their content?
For me, my favorite YouTube is Dude Perfect. So it's a group of people.
Yeah, classic, wholesome.
I follow a lot of like musicians and bands, and one of my favorite is like Coldplay. I like seeing their music and all the stuff they put out.
It's like,
I love Dancing with the Stars. So I follow a lot of the people that like are in there, and like my favorite is probably like Riley Arnold is my favorite.
I also really like music, so I'd probably say like Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, like Noah Kahan. Those are some of my faves right now.
I follow a lot of people who have curly hair because I don't really know what I'm doing. So that's the people I probably follow the
That's
most.
so real. That's amazing. Not that you don't know what you're doing. That's not real. But just
We can tell.
you're doing great, Aiden. Keep it. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Yeah, I would say like country music artists like Megan Maroney and Ella Langley are really big right now. I love to follow their Instagram and like see what they're doing on tour and stuff like that. So.
Slay.
I'm a big movie watcher, so like anything that like Marvel or Star Wars or Disney are coming out with, big follower of that. And then I'm also a big music lover, so like Tame Impala, I'm going to his concert later this year. So it's just like whoever I'm listening to at that time, I really like invest in.
I gotta just scroll on TikTok, but like Joe Bartolozzi, love that guy.
I don't know who that is.
I also said Dude Perfect as well. I just remember really young watching them a lot, and of course any Tennessee sport, I'm pretty up to date on that.
I also like country music, so some people I listen to like right now is probably like John Party and Chris Stapleton.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Okay, so here's the first question of how, like, and this will just be kind of popcorn style. You don't all need to answer. We'll just get a few responses on this of how do you personally filter what is a good influence and what's a bad influence in your life? Like, how do you know these things are good or not?
Okay, I'll go first. I would say it definitely, like, for me has come with time. But the biggest thing is just, like, being aware and, like, really intentional about, like, noticing and, like, being, like, oh, like, what is influencing? Like, exactly. Like, just, like, hearing your message is so good. And then also just praying about it and being in the Word is so important because I think that will always help guide you. And then the last thing I had was finding friends that will hold you accountable. I think that's the biggest thing for me, especially all of these guys up here have helped me a lot. And just, I think, finding those friends and they'll help you, like, know what's good and bad just from being friends with them. And, yeah.
That's great.
I said, like, when you are, like, being influenced by people, like, the question I kind of ask myself is, like, am I, like, when watching their content, like, am I becoming more like the person I want to be, or am I becoming less of the person I want to be? So, like, if it's a good influencer, like, if it's somebody that you believe, like, in their faith and, like, what they are about, then good, then you can stay along with that. But if there's somebody that is putting negative impacts on, like, maybe they're against Christianity or something like that, and, you know, that can cause a conflict within your mind, like, in your faith and stuff. So if you can just filter that out and just stay away from that, then that is just kind of what's helped me through that, so.
Yeah, something for me, I would say, is kind of listening to your conscience. Like, I think it's, like, likely for a lot of people when they're seeing something, thinking to themselves, like, there's a little thought in the back of your head, like, should I really be, like, is this the best thing for me to be watching right now? Mm-hmm. And I think, like, tuning in and listening to, like, your conscience is something that's also important because that's also, like, you know, your thoughts.
That's good.
For me, I feel like my main thing is like time management. So, like I said, I really like watching movies. I really like listening to music. So, for me, like, I just have to be very mindful on like the amount of time that I spend in that, and like making sure not necessarily that I match it with my time in the Word, but being mindful about not letting it take over like my entire day. Because obviously with movies, it's like normally 2 hours average, and then music, I just catch myself listening to my playlist for like hours on end. So I feel like time and like the amount of time that I pour into it is like my main thing.
I'd have to agree with Kinley, what she said about who you surround yourself with. There's been times that me and my friends have had to turn off a movie because we didn't necessarily know if we agreed with what it was showing on the screen or talking about. So there's just having the same values as your friends and keeping that helps a lot. It helps me a lot.
Love that.
I agree with
This one and this one.
Okay. I agree a lot with what Brooke said because it's kind of just about time management. Like, no matter what you're watching, if you're watching a lot of it, you're gonna like reflect it in how you're acting, and so it just really depends on how much of it you're watching, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, no matter what. You just need to be aware of how much you're watching it and how much time you're spending on that stuff.
That's great. I'm glad y'all brought that point out because I do think that's a huge factor. There may be some influences in your life that you need to say, I need to cut out completely, that I need to just totally remove. And there's also other times you might just need to say, I just need to watch less of it. Like, it's not necessarily something that I need to cut out completely, but I don't need to be watching this for hours a day. Like, something's going to have a bigger influence the more time you spend watching it, beholding it. It's going to have a bigger influence on your life. So you may just need to decide to put some boundaries there on how you engage with that. So the next one is maybe a bit more of a personal question, potentially. And I was curious if you all could share about a time that you have had to change your relationship with a particular influencer. That you've had to like either delete something, decide, hey, I'm going to stop following this. This is not good for me. This is having a bad effect on my life. Or maybe you had to just distance yourself. You had to set a screen time limit. You had to do something like in some way change your relationship with how you engage with some content.
Okay, so for me, I can't really think of someone in specific, but like sometimes when I'm scrolling on TikTok, there's been times where I'm like, I do not need to be like just doomed. I don't know what it's called. Just like keep scrolling because I don't really know what it's called. But sometimes I get like to a point where I'm like comparing myself to other people, like especially like famous people, like someone like that I can just think of specifically is like Alex Earl. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she's really pretty and she's just like, I don't know, she's like makeup, all this. I don't know much about her. I don't really follow a lot of social media influencers, but there's been a lot of times where I just get caught scrolling and like so like focused on like her life and I'm like, why am I stalking her? Like she's just famous. I have no business like learning all about her life and I've had to like put it down and I begin like comparing myself to her and I can't really think of like someone in specific, but there's been many times where I've compared myself to famous people and it's just like not good for me and I just have to recognize that and I've definitely recognized it more as I've gotten older, so that's just something that I've had to like put it down when I start comparing myself to others.
Yeah, like I would like watch like streamers and stuff, and then like I would like catch myself and like or like they would say something just like outrageous, and I'd be like, should I be watching this? You know, so like a rule of thumb I go by is like, am I getting closer to God by watching this? And if the answer is no, you probably shouldn't be watching it. And so I've tried to cut out most of that, although it is hard because like there's always like temptation to like, oh well, you know, just one video won't hurt or anything, but like obviously like it can be difficult. So, but you just have to like kind of hold true to your values and just what you believe in.
I feel like I would say, I don't know if there's, kind of like what Leighton was saying, I don't know if there's a specific like influencer, but I definitely can get caught up in like reading comments on posts. Like I'll look at something and I'll be like, oh, I like this. And then the comments will be like, ew, this is bad, I hate this. And I'm like, wait, now I hate it too. So I feel like I just need to kind of like, I don't know. I was not very aware of it at first, but the more I've gotten older, I've kind of been like, I need to have more, like, I can have my own opinions on things and I don't have to like, I don't have to conform to like what everything else is saying. So I feel like that's what I would say.
Love that.
Something that comes to mind is music. So, I just remember when I was an early high school student, going to baseball games and going to basketball games, like you want to like listen to like rap music, kind of, I don't know, just like gets like you hyped up and stuff like that. But as I got older, I just like began to realize like everything they say in those songs is just like it's negative. Like it's almost always goes against like my Christian like beliefs and stuff. So I began to filter that out and replace that with either like country music, or I had a worship song I always listened to before all my games this year, my basketball games, that I just was like, I'm just gonna listen to this and make sure like that's the way I'm gonna approach the game and that's how I'm gonna approach interactions, whether it's with teammates, coaches, the opponent, refs, whatever it may be, just to it just gets my like mind right and the way I approach those things. So.
Okay. Awesome. I also couldn't think of like a specific influencer, like something, but I did earlier this school year, realize I was just spending a lot of time on my phone, especially at night and like in the mornings when I woke up, and then I was late to school a lot. Sorry, Mom. And then Nikki's my first period teacher, so she definitely knows that. And so I set like downtime on my phone, so like I can't go on like all my apps after 10:30 or before 7:30, and so that was just something I did because I didn't want to be spending a lot of time on my phone and like keeping myself away from what I actually need to be doing, which was sleeping.
Mine's not necessarily an influencer, but it's an app. It's called Threads, and most of y'all might know it. It's just basically like, it's kind of like Twitter, I guess, or X, I guess now, but it's kind of like that where people can just like post like their thoughts. And I just had to stop using it because it's just very like negative, and every time I was using it, I would just become like a more like negative person and just be in a bad mood, and so I just had to stop using it completely.
That's good. Go for it. Hannah, last one.
Something that I will do sometimes if I'm like scrolling on my TikTok feed and I see something and I'm like, I don't really like this, like I don't really agree with it, I'll remove it from my feed. I will like block the account because like no shame. Like if I don't really feel like I should be looking at this and I don't want to like fill my algorithm with that kind of stuff, I'll block the account. So there's no shame in removing things that you do not want to see.
That is incredible practical advice right there. Yeah, I don't know if y'all know that. There is a way you can curate your feed. You can go through and like, you got to do it a lot, right? Like if you want to get rid of a particular type of content, you've got to be pretty relentless at it because the algorithms want to keep feeding it to you. But if you keep going in there and just keep saying, no, I'm not interested, eventually you can curate your algorithm to some extent. So that's good. Okay, next question, actually really last question, is we haven't really touched on the other side of it. Like one of the things the Apostle Paul writes in one of his letters says like to imitate me as I imitate Christ. And there are influencers that we can watch and engage with their content who are doing that, who are living like Jesus, or at least doing that to the best of their ability, who are putting forward content that is God-honoring, that is pointing us in that direction. We don't always know. I mean, these are all people we don't know personally, right? But so I guess I just wonder, could y'all all share? We'll work down the line on this one, and I'll share. What is a online influencer that has helped shape you in your faith for the better? Particular account, like I'd love to hear a specific rec and just how that has helped you just overall. What's been helpful, and if it could be a particular thing. So hey, jot some of these down. If like these could be recs that could be helpful for you too.
Okay, so an influencer that has like helped me kind of in my faith his name is Cliff. I think it's Canettle. I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but he does like apologetics where he'll just go into like park or something and he'll have like a booth or maybe he'll just be standing there and just talk to people, just talk to them about his faith, and just they'll come to him and bring him like scripture, they'll take it out of context or something, and they'll try and like prove him wrong, and he'll basically just he won't ever get angry or anything. He'll always stay very calm and just do his best to tell them like the truth and prove them, and or not prove them, but just tell them the truth. And so something that I liked that is because I want to be better at like going and talking to people about my faith and sharing my faith with people. And so watching him do that and just to random people that he's never met has helped me want to do that more with like some of my friends.
Awesome.
Sorry. For me, someone who I see on TikTok a lot and Instagram is Bryce Crawford. I see I see a lot of times he talks to satanic worshipers. I don't know how to exactly say that, but he goes and he talks to them and teaches them about God and stuff and prays for them, and I find that cool. And it's a good thing to just watch and learn from him to see how to talk to others about your faith and just teach them about the God.
So I was also gonna say Bryce Crawford. So I like his faith journey is really cool to me. He says a lot in a lot of videos that like he like at the lowest point of his life, like he was gonna go to Waffle House and eat his last meal because he was planning on like ending his life that night. And then he was in the Waffle House and he had like a conversation with somebody, and then like everything switched for him, and he just like I guess he just felt the Holy Spirit, and now like Bryce was saying, he walks around to these satanic temples and is like, I rebuke this, like all of this stuff that's going on in here. He debates people. He does a lot of things very similar to like what Cliff does at like who Riley was saying. They do a lot of things together too. So, and Bryce has a podcast as well. So listening to that and listening to him, like one of my favorite podcast episodes that he has is he's like explaining like what the gospel is, and like when you hear like what the gospel is, it can be very different. So it's cool to just hear his side of that and just the way that he interprets the gospel. So yeah.
For me, I don't really follow a whole lot of like influencers on social media. That's just never really how I've like used social. I don't really like follow people that I don't know. Whatever. But like when for example, I'll be like scrolling on my Instagram stories and I'll see like people I know or like friends of a friend post that they like did a Bible study with a friend or they got coffee and read their Bibles with a friend, and then they'll like put their little like thoughts about it on their Instagram story. And I think sometimes it can be easy to kind of just like click through that and be like, oh, that's cool. Like I'm gonna keep clicking. But like I don't know. I think it's sometimes good to stop and like actually read what other people's thoughts are about certain things, and almost use that to give yourself some insight of your own, like food for thought, instead of just like mindlessly just like continuing to click.
So one of the things I like about social media, because I don't really follow like one big Christian influencer, but like one thing about social media is your feed is curated to you. And so I'll notice like if I'm on TikTok or something and like I'll see a Christian video pop up and I'll like it, and then suddenly like it's like my whole like my entire page is just filled with Christian videos. And so obviously like you kind of got to be careful because you don't want to like get like a false prophet or something on there, because there's a lot of weird people on TikTok. But yeah, it's just but really like it comes from you, and so you just have to like kind of choose what you watch and choose what you like. And yeah, like if you see something like Christian pop up, make sure you like it, and then you'll get more Christian videos and stuff, and ultimately you'll just keep watching those.
So I'm the same way as Hannah. I don't follow a ton of influencers, but recently I've been getting more into listening to Sadie Robertson's podcast and following her on Instagram. I've always like known who she is and like seen that she like speaks at Passion and everything, but I've never really like listened to her podcast until recently. And I just think it's so cool how she's so realistic, especially like I feel like I relate to her a lot, and I love how she doesn't act like she's a perfect Christian. She always says that, like, she always talks about how she reassures us, like, in her podcast that she's not perfect, and that kind of, like, I really like that about her. And I also just got her book, which has been super cool. I've been getting into that as well. But I kind of have another one, too. I love just, like, following all the Christian bands and, like, seeing when they come out with new music, and that's just another thing for me that I've loved following on social media.
I'd agree with Hannah and Leighton of, like, not really following, like, specific people. I do love Sadie Robertson's podcast, but I would say, like, as one thing that I like about social media and, like, YouTube is that if I ever have, like, a specific, like, question that I'm thinking about, or, like, I feel like I'm too scared to ask someone, there is a sermon out there for everything. And it's, like, it can either be a 5-10 minute thing or, like, up to an hour at, like, some conference. So, like, just really remembering to like utilize that. And also a very Grace Chapel Answers the Bible project of I like I said, I like watching movies, and the way that the Bible project does it is like is like breaking down the story and the passage and like adding on animations and stuff, so it's easy for me to like really pay attention to that. So yeah.
I agree with what both of y'all said. Like what Leighton said, I found myself really liking podcasts. I didn't think I was going to like them, but sometimes in the mornings before school, I'll listen to Sadie Robertson's, or Bryce Crawford has a really good one. And so I feel like just listening to podcasts rather than, like, I don't know, music that's not really going to put you in a good mood. Like sometimes in the morning, like during the fall, I'd be like, I want to listen to sad music. And then I'm in a bad mood all day because I listen to sad music. But whenever I'm listening to like something that's uplifting and giving me advice for the day and like, I don't know, just it gives me a better mindset into like what I want to be like throughout that day rather than, I don't know. I think it just sets up your day really well. And if there's anything to get from this, I guess, listen to Sadie Robertson's podcast, and Bryce Crawford also has a really good one. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, so if you're like me and you're around GC Youth last summer, you're probably influenced by Forrest Frank. He's pretty awesome. But similar to what Leighton was saying, just like Christian bands, I love following them and seeing like Elevation and Maverick City, like just seeing when they have new music. And I think like they're also posting other stuff that's like really uplifting and good and helpful. So but all of those, just any Christian artists are good to follow.
I was on TikTok like a couple weeks ago, and I just found this girl. Her name is Kelsey Grove, and she posts a lot about, her faith and her relationship with Christ. And I just really liked her content because even if she's not posting like specifically about like something that she struggled with in her faith, like it's still, God is still worked into it, and like it's still about Christianity and stuff. And I just really liked how easy it was for her to share her faith and like not act like everything is perfect.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for sharing. I hope that's helpful to hear from some of your peers on how they are navigating this world of social media, of YouTube, of videos, influencers, all of this stuff, like how we navigate that content well. And the goal in this is never to put anyone on a pedestal and say, hey, this person, this thing is the greatest, best thing out there, because we're all broken humans. Every one of those people they mentioned are broken humans, but are people who are trying to follow Jesus and who could be a really great influence in our lives. But as we close, I asked a couple of y'all if you could just say a prayer of blessing over the group, of just pray for God to give us discernment as a group. So who we got here? Okay, excellent.
I'll start. Okay, bow your heads, please. Dear God, thank you so much for this night that we got to celebrate this special group of seniors and look back on all the memories that we've made here. Thank you so much for Ben's courage to speak tonight and his message on digital discipleship. I pray that you help us all to discern and pay attention to how we spend our time online, and that we can focus on things that have a positive impact on us and are good influences in our life. And I pray that above everything, that we can spend our time focused on our relationship with you and glorifying you, Lord, in everything that we do. Thank you so much for this youth group and the time that we spend together. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Dear God, thank you so much for this day and this this wonderful youth group. Again, like Kinley said, that we just get to, every week, we just have such a blessing to just come together and just be with each other in fellowship, and just, get to grow great friendships. But most importantly, while we're here, we get to do all of that for your glory, God, and just to build a relationship with you. And it's just been so awesome to see the relationships that are being built in this room. And yeah, also just so thankful for these group of seniors, that we, as just the friendship we've been able to build over the years, and that we just get to leave a mark on these people out here in the crowd, that they look up to us as leaders, and that we can always and they can know that that they can come to us with anything that they want to talk about, anything that is on their heart that they need to just get off their chest, that we're up here and we're way more than willing to just be there for them. God, again, may us know how to use our influence, and may us to know what to watch and know what is right and what is wrong and what to surround ourselves with and fill our minds with, God. And thank you so much again for this youth group. And it's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Hey, thank y'all.